For some of the smartest people out there, I'm talking PhD students, artificial intelligence is this incredible new ally. It's a shortcut, a coach, and a confidant all rolled into one. But what happens when that helpful tool starts to feel, well, a little more like a crunch? We're about to unpack a new study that gets right to the heart of this double-edged sword, our growing relationship with AI.
And really, that's the big question for all of us, isn't it? Are these amazing tools making us sharper and more capable, or are they just doing all the heavy lifting for us? Well, a new study focusing on a group of academics under some serious pressure gives us a fascinating glimpse into this very trade-off. So let's start by diving into the world they live in. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of our relationship with AI, researchers zoomed in on a group living in what you could only call an academic pressure cooker, international PhD students. And for them, the stakes are, well, they're about as high as they get.
See, getting a PhD isn't just one big project. It is a total marathon, stretched out over years. It kicks off with intense coursework, then you shift into years of original research and the constant pressure to get it published. And it all leads up to writing and defending a massive thesis. We're talking something like 100,000 words long. It is absolutely grueling.
And you know what? That's not even the whole story. On top of that academic journey, these students are juggling a ton of other challenges. You've got the constant pressure to be scientifically productive, figuring out the tricky relationship with your advisor. And if you're an international student, you're also trying to adapt to a completely new culture. It's kind of the perfect storm. And in that storm, you can see why a powerful assistant would feel less like a luxury and more like an absolute necessity.
And right on cue, that's where AI enters the picture. For these students, it wasn't just some cool new tech to play with. No, it was a lifeline.
Just listen to the words this student uses. They don't just say AI makes life easy, they call it a shortcut. And when you're in the middle of that academic grind, a shortcut that lets you bypass the most soul-crushing, time-consuming parts of the job, that's more than just helpful. It's a huge relief.
The difference is just night and day. Think about it. The old-school academic way is slow, you're doing manual lit reviews, painstakingly analyzing data. But with AI, the whole process is supercharged. All of a sudden, you've got assisted summaries, help structuring emails, and, get this, even a kind of life coach to help you figure out a brand new culture. That's a game changer.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it goes way beyond just being efficient. This quote here shows the deep, psychological comfort AI can provide. It becomes a safety net, right? A source of confidence when you're feeling totally overwhelmed. For some, it stops being just a tool and starts feeling more like a trusted partner.
But you knew there was a but coming, right? With every powerful ally like this, there's often a hidden cost. And what the study found was that this deep reliance on AI, well, it comes with a pretty big catch.
And that catch has a name. The researchers called it AI dependency. And this isn't just about using a tool a lot. It's that moment when you start to outsource the important stuff, your decisions, your self-validation, maybe even your critical thinking, to an automated system.
You can just feel the anxiety in the student's words, can't you? The question isn't, how can AI help me anymore? It's, what on earth would I do without it? And that right there, that's the heart of dependency. It's that fear of being stranded without the tool you've come to rely on for everything. So the study started documenting all these different consequences. Students feeling real anxiety if the Wi-Fi went down. They'd start to doubt their own gut feelings, constantly needing to check with the AI. But the one that really gets me is that last point, this growing feeling that their own human ability is very limited compared to the machine. Wow. Okay, but here's where the story takes a turn, because it gets a lot more complex. It turns out this feeling of dependency, it wasn't the same for everybody. Not even close. Our relationship with AI, it's deeply personal.
So, check this out. You had one student from Oman who talked about AI as a genuine thinking partner, someone they could speak to like a real human. But then you have a student from Indonesia who drew a hard line in the sand. They said their relationship was purely instrumental. AI was just a supporting tool and absolutely not a decision maker.
And that contrast reveals what is maybe the biggest insight from the whole study. The impact of AI isn't really about the tech itself, it's about us. It's about our mindset, our habits, and how much personal control we decide to take. Whether AI becomes a helpful tool or a crutch, well, that's ultimately up to us.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway for the rest of us who aren't PhD students? Well, the study's conclusion actually gives us a pretty clear path forward.
So what's the final verdict?
Is AI a helpful partner that makes us better, or is it a harmful master that makes us lazy? The research seems to suggest the answer is, it really just depends on how we choose to use it.
Look, the big takeaway here isn't to be scared of AI or to just stop using it altogether. Not at all. Instead, what the researchers are pushing for is something they call a conscious usage framework. Basically, it just means we need to be way more mindful and intentional about how and why we're turning to these incredibly powerful tools.
The key, they say, is to find that perfect balance. We have to balance the amazing speed and power of AI with the careful, rigorous, and independent judgment that only a human can provide. That's how we make sure technology stays our partner and never becomes our master.
And all of this really leaves us with one final, and I think really important question we should all be asking ourselves. As these tools get woven deeper and deeper into our daily lives, you have to decide, how much of your own thinking are you willing to outsource?